Hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm so happy that you're here. I'm Miss Molinari, and I have a wonderful story to read today. It's a little long. It's called The Legend of the Blue Bonnet, and it is by Tomie DePaola. Tomie DePaola has many wonderful stories out there. And if you like this one, I hope you look for that author. This is an old tale of Texas, retold and illustrated by Tomie DePaola. And illustrated means that Mr. Tomie also did all the pictures in here. Now, this story will cover specifically INDLS First Grade, our OLS lessons in literature and comprehension for 2.1 and 2.2, and that will take you through week 2, day 4, and day 5. So you'll be on the same story. And remember the 3 times rule, where you'll listen to me read it and look at the pictures as I read, and try and hear as you're looking at the pictures. The second time you listen to this story, I would like for you to finger point to the words as I read. And learning coaches, it's wonderful when you help with that. The third time, I'd like you to try and read the story to and with your learning coach. Now, it may take more than 3 times, and we may not get to reading independently. That's okay. We always do our personal best. And our life goal pledge every day is, I will be kind, I will do my personal best, and I will have fun. Okay, so I'm going to let you pause the video and go get this book, please. The Legend of the Blue Bonnet. Ready? Go. Ah, and you're back. Yay. Okay, here we go. Now I'm going to read the whole story. So if you see I often move around, that's okay if you need to pause the video and take a little break. If you need to do something called tushy cheeks, where you rock up on one cheek, rock up on the other cheek, whatever you got to do. To help me focus, I will sometimes stretch out my fingers and scrunch them. I'll also do it with my toes. Now, the goal is to be able to do it and still pay attention. And that can be hard. So the toes is a good one, because sometimes when I see my fingers, I want to watch them instead of scrunching them. Okay, here we go. The Legend of the Blue Bonnet, an old tale of Texas, retold and illustrated by Tomie DePaola. Oh, what a beautiful flower on the inside. Now, if you remember, a few stories ago, we had the title page. And this page tells us the title because, well, it's nice to see as you're introducing yourself to this story. And every time you go to reread a story, you want to look at the pictures first to just kind of wet your tongue and get your memory thinking about what you already remember from the story. Oh, and this time our dedication page, which we've had in another one, is on this side. And sometimes authors will dedicate a book and story to someone specific. For Margaret Looper, who introduced me to the tale. Remember, on the front it says Tomie DePaola retold the story. Okay, here we go. You look at the pictures and I'm going to read the book, okay? And I'm going to try not to interrupt the reading with lots of questions, because I want you to really get into it. Great spirits, the land is dying. Your people are dying too. The long line of dancers sang. Tell us what we have done to anger you. End this drought. Save your people. Tell us what we must do so you will send the rain that will bring back life. Turn the page. Look at the pictures. For 3 days, the dancers danced to the sound of the drums. And for 3 days, the people called Comanche watched and waited. And even though the hard winter was over, no healing rains came. Look at those pictures. Turn the page. Do we have a problem? We do have a problem. Drought and famine are hardest on the very young and the very old. Among the few children left was a small girl named She Who Is Alone. She sat by herself watching the dancers. In her lap was a doll made from buckskin, a warrior doll. The eyes, nose, and mouth were painted on with the juice of berries. It wore beaded leggings and a belt of polished bone. On its head were brilliant blue feathers from the bird who cries, J, J, J. She loved her doll very much. Turn the page. Remember, you're looking at the pictures the first time. Soon, She Who Is Alone said to her doll, the shaman will go off alone to the top of the hill to listen for the words of the great spirits. Then we will know what to do so that once more the rains will come and the earth will be green and alive. The buffalo will be plenty and the people will be rich again. As she talked, she thought of the mother who made the doll, of the father who brought the blue feathers. She thought of the grandfather and the grandmother she had never known. They were all like shadows. It seems long ago that they had died from the famine. The people had named her and cared for her. The warrior doll was the only thing she had left from those distant days. Before we turn the page, think about why her name is She Who Is Alone. What I just read was that her mother and her father and grandfather and grandmother she had never known, and that they had died from the famine. Famine means there isn't any food, and drought means there isn't any water. So I want you to think about what the problem is in this story. And after you listen to it, I want you to talk with your learning coach about what the beginning, the middle, and the end of the story was, and did we end up solving the problem? All right, turn the page, and remember, look at the pictures if this is your first time through this story. The sun is setting, the runner called as he ran through the camp. The shaman is returning. The people gathered in a circle, and the shaman spoke. I have heard the words of the great spirits, he said. The people have become selfish. For years they have taken from the earth without giving anything back. The great spirits say the people must sacrifice. We must make a burnt offering of the most valued possession among us. The ashes of this offering shall then be scattered to the 4 points of the earth, the home of the winds. When this sacrifice is made, drought and famine will cease. What does that mean? Life will be restored to the earth and to the people. What does cease mean? Turn the page. The people sang a song of thanks to the great spirits for telling them what they must do. I'm sure it is not my new bow that the great spirits want, a warrior said. Or my special blanket, a woman added, as everyone went to their teepees to talk and think over what the great spirits had asked. Turn the page. Everyone, that is, except She Who Is Alone. She held her doll tightly to her heart. You, she said, looking at the doll, you are my most valued possession. It is you the great spirits want. And she knew what she must do. As the council fires died out and the teepee flaps began to close, the small girl returned to the teepee where she slept to wait. Turn the page. The night outside was still except for the distant sound of the night bird with the red wings. Soon everyone in the teepee was asleep except She Who Was Alone. Under the ashes of the teepee fire, one stick still glowed. She took it and quietly crept out into the night. Now stop. I want you to think and predict what she's going to do. What do you think is going to happen next and why? All right, turn the page. She ran to the place on the hill where the great spirits had spoken to the shaman. Stars filled the sky, but there was no moon. "Oh, great spirits," she who is alone said, "here is my warrior doll. It is the only thing I have from the family who died in this famine. It is my most valued possession. Please accept it." Turn the page. I love the pictures. Then, gathering twigs, she started a fire with the glowing fire stick. The small girl watched as the twigs began to catch and burn. She thought of her grandmother and grandfather, her mother and father, and all the people, their suffering, their hunger. And before she could change her mind, she thrust the doll into the fire. Turn the page. She watched until the flames died down and the ashes had grown cold. Then, scooping up a handful, she who is alone scattered the ashes to the home of the winds, the north and the east, the south and the west. And there she fell asleep until the first light of the morning sun woke her. Turn the page. She looked out over the hill, and stretching out from all sides where the ashes had fallen, the ground was covered with flowers, beautiful flowers as blue as the feathers in the hair of the doll, as blue as the feathers of the bird who cries J, J, J. Now look at those flowers. Have we seen those flowers somewhere else in the book? I'll give you a hint. It's in the beginning. All right, turn the page. When the people came out of their teepees, they could scarcely believe their eyes. They gathered on the hill with she who is alone to look at the miraculous sight. There was no doubt about it. The flowers were a sign of forgiveness from the great spirits. And as the people danced, let me try that again. Mistake number 1 today. And as the people sang and danced their thanks to the great spirits, a warm rain began to fall, and the land began to live again. From that day on, the little girl was known by another name, one who dearly loved her people. Oh, turn the page. And every spring, the great spirits remember the sacrifice of a little girl and fill the hills and valleys of the land, now called Texas, with very beautiful blue flowers, even to this very day. Oh, what a beautiful picture. Now, there is an author's note, and I'm going to leave that to your learning coaches to read if they would like. But that flower is called a blue lupine, and you can grow lupines in Indiana too. I hope you enjoyed this story. It is a legend, and it is what this Native American tribe called the Comanche believed to be true. It's okay if you don't think it's true. It's a wonderful story that has a great moral or lesson in it, to be selfless, just like the girl who loved her people dearly. Yo te amo. Hasta luego. I'll see you soon, my cuties.